Hey guys, me again, Orc Slayer. What ifs? Where we last left off? Let's see. Checking. So where we last left off, Deku and them essentially had to hobble their way through the forest, with Deku being robbed of his, or not robbed, but not having his usual loadout handle given to him. Is given an M1919 Browning machine gun, which then he proceeded to use all the ammo for, and throughout halfway there, he had to beat several monsters, dirt monsters or whatever you wish to call, to death with it. He then also talked with Aizawa, and then I said he met Koda as he typically did, getting punched in the nuts. Anyways, Deku is like going through the thing, he's like, as they go through the whole, training, they're trying to get Deku more or less, since he's got his quirk down from what they can say. They're trying to get him to, rely on his physical attributes as well. So, seeing if he's very good with that as well. Answer is yes he is. As Tiger, he has to fight Tiger. And Deku does good until Tiger does the whole, weird thing. Where he, becomes the whatever it is, plastic. I forget what the exact, the exact words for his quirk is. What was it again? It's, Plilla body or whatever. He pretty much flattens his body and such, If you've seen the anime, if you haven't, you can essentially, bend his body in, a normal way. So, for instance, he can make his arm, if it was sticking straight out to a side, where the elbow is facing backwards, he can essentially make his arm go all the way back. Could possibly even, scratch his head with the front of his foot also. So with that, Deku is pretty much just thrown into not a grinder, but more or less just a perpetual beatdown, where he's put up against Tiger, and then he's quickly sent through obstacle courses that are trying to improve his reaction time, even if it's just by a tiny bit. Since they heard about his quirk way in advance, they were able to get some sort of field thing set up where he has to clear a house. Essentially, it's like playing Modern Warfare, any of those ones, where they have the killing house or any of that. That's essentially what he has to do, and each time he's trying to shave off more time each time. Tiger, since he doesn't use gun, cleared it. It's around the same size as in Modern Warfare Remastered is the one I'll say. He got it in under 20 seconds. Maybe 40. No, 20 seconds, yeah. Now, when Deku goes through, it's go. As he eventually, after being thrown into, fighting with Tiger, it took him a minute. No, not, I'll say around 40 seconds. Then he went again. It's like a back-to-back thing where he's fighting Tiger, doing the thing. Until eventually he gets his thing down to where it's 10 seconds through the entire thing. As he throws flashbang, fires, as he clears it expertly. Though, in real life, he probably would have been shot, but this is an anime. Is what they're saying. Not an anime. This is a test. As Deku continues that, eventually comes to the whole cooking thing. Deku eventually goes over to, get Koda his food. He's yeah. It's why are you trying to be heroes in, that conversation? He's well, I don't know, really. Just something I wanted to do. Plus, I wanted to be able to use my quirk. Well, not be able to use it, but... Alright, you know what? I'm gonna tell you something, kid, and it's gonna sound stupid as hell. I've always looked up to those old Western heroes. You know some of them? He's like, what are you talking about? I didn't think so. So, do you know what a cowboy is? He's like, who doesn't? He's like, good point. As he yawns, he's like, so essentially what's this? I've always looked up to those guys, plus my dad. So, you know what? I've made this a goal. I wanted to be a cowboy hero like my dad. And that's pretty much it. Actually, didn't have to tell you the whole, you know those old cowboy guys. No. Just wanted to be a hero, and I chose the cowboy instead because I like cowboys. And I want to help people, so. It's like, so, what else? He's like, that's it. I just wanted to help people. I could have been a police officer, yeah. Could have been a doctor. Could have been a scientist researching ways to make, get more food and such. I don't know if, there's a lot I could have done, is the baseline. But I chose to become a hero who shoots people. Kinda ironic, but, that's how life rolls. As he just sets down the food, he's like, enjoy it, kid. As it's a thing, since everyone in Mandalay and Pixie Bob were actually curious, they got Aizawa to ask Deku, do you know how to cook any of the old Western style food? As Deku gave him a, yeah, I do. Why do you ask? As they ask him to make some. As they said that they looked up things that they typically eat. So when they brought the stuff, he pretty much got right to cooking. Biscuits, grits, bacon, stuff like that. As he made a whole variety of food. So, anyways, we continue forward. With Deku before Deku left, he's like, you know what? Meet me down there when you're ready. If you want to go later tonight, go ahead. But if you want, go ahead. If not, stay inside and sleep. As he goes with the yawn, he's like, oh. Anyways, as he walks away, he's like, so, let's see if the kid's interested. As when he's down there, Koda arrives, he's like, hey, Koda. He's like, what do you want? He's like, well, you want to shoot a gun? He's like, what? Koda's like, what? He's like, yep. It's like, why would you want me to shoot a gun? He's like, I'm bored. I can tell you're bored as hell. As he's checking his weapons, just thought it'd be fun. Got a few bottles out there set up, or a few little things I found, be it little logs, rocks, anything really. So, want to give it a go? He's like, Koda sighs and agrees as he takes the gun, and Deku's like, alright, fire as Koda shoots. As this is loud, everyone hears it, and they're like, what the? As Aizawa is awake, I'll say Mandalay and the rest of them are asleep. Aizawa's like, what the? As he grabs his clothes and such, as he runs off, eventually finding Deku and Koda just chilling there. It's pretty interesting. As Aizawa's like, Deku, why are you up so late? He's like, shooting guns. What else? As Deku laughs. Oh, by the way, Koda's hit 6 of those so far. That's actually pretty good for a beginner. It's like, how much has he used? About 3 clips. So 18. So he's doing pretty good. 1 every 2 hits. So, hey Aizawa, you want to give it a shot? As Aizawa's like, He's like, Midoriya, Koda, go back. Deku's like, you don't even want to try one. As Aizawa's like, if I do it, will you go back to bed? It's like, yep, you shoot all 6 shots. You know how to use gun? Aizawa's like, of course I do. He's like, alright, have fun. As Deku waits, as Aizawa actually hits every single shot, he's like, well, that's unexpected. Aizawa says, now go to bed. As he leaves, Deku's like, well, you heard him. Let's go, Koda. As he packs up all his things. As Deku and Koda go back, and eventually comes to the whole, the night where League of Villains attack. Oh, why am I tired? As eventually they all still run off, as Deku's like, he's like, oh crap. He's like, as they're all running off, Deku's always got something on him. Always. Aside from that one time on the bus, because he really didn't think he needed one. Now, though, he's prepared just in case. Like, they've been hitting him with training a lot. And sometimes they do sneak attacks on him, so he just has one ready. With 3 things of ammo at the ready. As he's like, alright. As then the villains show up, as he's like, where's Koda? As he has to rush off to go and save Koda. He tries to shoot at Magna and Spinner. Mandalay tells him to go find Koda and not waste the ammo. As Deku's like, you got it. As he's like, you got it, boss. As he runs off, he's like, find Koda, find Koda. Ah, that's where Koda is. As he makes his way there, he sees Muscular. He's like, oh, fiddlesticks. As he fires several times, with Muscular muscles absorbing the shock, but still like gives him that tingly feeling. Deku's like, Koda, I got something for you to do. He's like, what? Run. As he doesn't throw anything, he just fires at Muscular, aiming for the knees. As Muscular's leg gives out, he's like, what the? As he falls to one knee, Deku's like, alright, fight, headshot. As he just blasts him in the head several times. He's like, oh. As he falls over, Deku's like, alright, you know what? I'm just gonna... He's thinking, he's thinking, what can I use? As he's just like, alright, as he just fires a bunch more times into him. He's like, alright, so 1 bullet left out of all these shock rounds. Wish I had my real ones. As he's like, alright, Koda, come on. As he's like, gotta savor this 1 bullet. As with Muscular's muscles, like, they were allowing him to absorb more of the impact. After Muscular realized when he first got shot, he did try to grow more of them, but Deku did just, like, quickly and cleanly, quote unquote, he dismantled Muscular with several bullets. Deku eventually, as they run all the way back to deal with, that thing, Deku runs into Aizawa. He's like, Aizawa, you got any more bullets on you? He's like, yes, Midoriya. He's like, cool, give me them. As Aizawa's like, here. As Aizawa realizes Deku probably will need someone to carry more ammo for him, he does realize Deku, well, not he needed more, but he's like, Deku may, need more ammo one of these days. So he just kept one on him. He's like, why? He's like, how many did you fight? He's like, just one. It was a really big guy. As he gets the extra bandolier, as he drops the other, the empty one off, he's like, thanks, Aizawa, I'm gonna go help everyone else. As he's running off into the distance. As he comes across Tokiyami and I believe Soji. So what's I forget his name. Octo Arms. As he's like, alright, so Octo Arms, as he's running, he's like, I can take care of him with this. He's like, what? He's like, yeah, these bullets don't light up much. If I had a firecracker one, maybe. But I don't think those are invented yet. Oh, crud. As they run across Bakugo and Todoroki. As Deku's like, alright, so, how many of us are here? As it's just like, alright. So, as he does tell the whole, yeah, they want Bakugo. As Deku's like, alright, Bakugo, you the VIP. You stay in between all of us. I'll keep in the middle, I'll keep in the rear lines. Todoroki, you get in the front. Octo Arms, stay in the middle with Bakugo. Tokiyami, do the same. As they, like, huddle around Bakugo, as Deku's like, come on, move, move, move. As they're, like, keeping a tight little box around them. As they run to Toga. With, what was his name? Mr. Compressed, there we go. Almost forgot it for a second. Or did forget it. As Toga went running off, Deku isn't that injured, so she doesn't become, obsessed with him. He's like, he just fires at her. He's like, she gets hit. She's like, oh no. As then Mr. Compress uses his quirk on her to, like, get her into a little ball. As he did snatch up, Tokiyami and Bakugo, Deku's like, get back here! As Mr. Compress throws a couple of balls at them that then unleash like like parts of a tree. Deku's like, shit. As he dodges out of the way, he's like, alright, how the hell are we supposed to get up there? Wait a second. As he still comes up with a plan relatively quickly to how they should stop Mr. Compress, as he has them make float. And, Suyu throws them. Deku's like, alright, come on. As they're flying high in the sky, he's like, alright. As he cocks he's like, alright. As they fire at the guy, he stops flying through the air. As he's sort of stunned at the moment, Deku and them, like, still land on his back. As Deku's like, alright, I'll deal with some of the other guys on the left. Or right, as he's dealing with, I believe it's Twice and Dobby, as he fires. As he's like, hopefully we don't have to deal with this again. As Dobby lets off the bout of flames, Deku's like, oh, as he, like, pretty much rolls backward and fires a few more times, actually hitting Dobby. With him shooting another shot, a portal opens. He's like, shit, as then he gets hit in the back of the head. He's like, oh, no, that's bad. As these still have the relatively low output ones, like, it's not going to be, like, immobilizing them completely, since, they were just supposed to hit the teachers, instead of, like, immobilizing them. As Deku falls completely, on the back of his, on his face, as it was the back of the neck, or back of the head, near some nerves. They aren't, damaged extremely. He's just literally paralyzed at the moment. As he's, falling face down, he's like, I can't move. As the only thing he's able to do is breathe. As he's like, get Mr. Compress, drag him away from here, get Bakugo and Tokiyami, whoever the hell, out of here, as he's just laying there. As they go to do that, but Mr. Compress, Bakugo is still taken by the end of it, as Mr. Compress, actually, never mind, Bakugo is never taken, haha, suck it, as Deku's just laying there, as Dobby's like, oh. He's like, tomorrow would be interesting in meeting you again, Mr. Midoriya. As Deku's like, stay away, Gary, and tell Handman to as he's about to say F off, he essentially is picked up through the portal, as it's like, Deku! As Mr. Compress and the rest of them are still taken, with Deku eventually ending up in that thing. Now, this is bad. This is really bad, as when the news gets out that Izuku Midoriya is taken, Inko is not happy. But when Snipe hears about this, and he does hear about it. He's like, he walks down into, as they're like, Snipe, where are you going? As he walks down into an armory. As it's like, Snipe, what are you doing? He's like, weapons, get Deku back. As he grabs several guns that aren't even revolvers, or his specialized revolver. He grabs a shotgun, an assault rifle, and 2 SMGs. He's like, as President Mike, like, you going akimbo, Snipe? He's like, yeah, I'm sorry I keep on saying he's like, but there are no real words to define it. He's literally just not thinking, as is like, Snipe, listen here, buddy. We got everything underway. As Deku's being held, he's just, chilling. He's like, As they have his pistol, as Dabi wants to burn Deku a little bit for this thing he did, and Mr. Compress wants to, well, he's not actually that agitated since, Deku really didn't do anything. He just shot him up with fake bullets. As Toya is like, well, not Toya. It's like, okay, that's a personal thing, is that I believe it's obvious that Dabi is Toya Todoroki. That's just an obvious at this point. At least, I believe it is. Yeah, he is. I believe he is. I haven't read too much of the manga lately, so. Anyways, as Deku is just sitting there, Shigaraki's like, as he's like still scratching his neck, wish he could have grabbed the other one. As Deku's just like sitting there looking dead on, not even replying to anything Shigaraki does, as he's like, gonna answer me, Deku? Or Huntsman, whichever one you prefer. He's like, still quiet. It's like, Shigaraki, he is gagged. As Toga walks over and is like, hey, can I stab you? Say nothing for no. Say nothing for yes. She's like, yay, he said, as a knife goes right into his leg, or one of those like little suction, her little thing, the needle, as she sticks it into his arm. He's like, because they're pretty thick needle. They're like pretty big to like get a lot. As it just like sticks right into him, he's like, as it's just like draining a bit of blood. It's like, Toga, get multiple. He can be get multiple things. His blood could prove useful, especially that quirk. As Deku looks at him, he's like, don't worry. As Kurogiri is like, don't worry, Mr. Midoriya. We have no intention of taking your quirk permanently. As Deku tries to like struggle out of it, as when he goes to struggle out of it, the needle kind of like is moved around a bit, so it's sort of wiggled underneath. He's like, like, stay still now, otherwise it may hurt. Deku's just like, just seething in rage. Till eventually it's like pizza delivery, as in bang, boom comes in. All Might, actually it's not All Might this time. Well, actually, yeah. On the back of All Might, there's just Snipe with akimbo MP5s. He's like, stick him up. As they see what they've been doing to Deku, it's like, you've been collecting his blood, foul villains. As police rush over and take his thing, Deku's like, fine. As they got like 2 of those vials worth, I'd say. It's a bit, but nothing. I don't know how much blood is supposed to go in those things. I'm just assuming they're relatively small. So I'll say he's somewhat fine. He just feels a little bit weak. She's like, I'm fine. But as for this, as Togen's like held there, he's like going to punch her. And then like, in that, like, split amount of time, Shigaraki, as Deku's standing there, he's like, oh, before I forget, he's about to punch her, then, like, All For One does the whole, yanking them all, and as Deku's fist was going to connect with Toga's face, Snipes like, Deku, as he, like, throws him something, he's like, take this, hold out for a little bit, as Deku's teleport, as he rolls, he's like, what the, as he's on uneven ground, he's like, shit, as he's rolling, he's like, what the, so he fixes himself, he's like, what the, as All For One's like, I can't say, like, All For One says, so you're young Midoriya. Pleasure to meet you. I am Shigaraki's Tomura's master. Deku, like, checks the thing, he's like, I don't know how much is on in this, but I'm good. He's like, alright. As everyone starts to surround him, he's like, alright, who's first? As first comes in Mr. Compressed to try and get Deku, as he gets under him and shoots a couple of times into his arm, he's like, all you on your hands and knees now, I don't want to shoot you. As All For One's like, that's no good. As he sticks out his arm, air cannon, as he hits Deku, as he's like, oh, as he goes down, he's like, oh. Only he can take up to ×2. Somewhat impressive for a student. Deku says, yeah, that ain't the only thing. As he grabs down, sort of does a cross spray, as one of them actually hits All For One right in the side of his, like, neck a little bit, like, sort of skims across that part. He's like, As then he starts blasting at Deku, he's like, no, as he fires a couple more times, hitting him in the face a little bit, as the bullets pretty much just land in his chest. Popping out, he's like, you seem to be more like a soldier. Too bad that cannot be replicated in the no moves, as he fires several more times. That's unless Deku's like, oh, hell no. As he starts to, like, retreat and, like, get to a safer distance, eventually All For One shows up. As with that bullet spray, like, a few of the people were hit, Deku's like, alright, All Might, I'll try to get out of here. As he's trying to run away, but Kurogiri and Tomura just end up getting in his way, along with some of the others from the Vanguard Strike Team. As he's constantly moving back and forth to try and avoid them, he's just unable to give them that slip. Until eventually All Might, like, is trying to go all out, but he can't. He's like, All Might, don't worry about going all out. I'll live somehow. Also, did you bring me more ammo? As he's like, yes, Midoriya. Like, as he threw that to Deku, Deku's like, oh, thank God. As it's like a little belt, he's like, well, this is gonna be useful. As he grabs one of the other clips, as he's run out of ammo, he's like, I'm moving back as far as I can. As he's firing at them as he's leaving, it's like, as All Might starts using more force, even Deku, as he's running away, is being pushed away by some of the hits. It's like, okay, they're out of reach now, All Might, see ya. As he goes to go away, but eventually All Might is still brought to that state, Deku's like, what's the... As I believe so that Deku never found out about All Might's thing, if I remember. Yes, he didn't. Every time it was like more or less he went along the same lines as Class 1A, never finding out. If he did, I'm sorry, but he never did. As Deku's like, what the? As All Might's still standing there with the women behind him, but before, like, All Might's trying to gather up the embers to, like, bring out One For All again. It's like, I think it's finally faded. As Deku's like, shit. As he fires at All For One, he's like, hey, All For One, you forget about me? As he's lighting All For One's back up, he's like, All Might, do what you need to do. As he's firing at him, he's like, I don't know how much ammo I got, but it ain't enough. As he's firing, All For One's like, You are starting to irritate me, Midoriya, as he blasts several times. He's like, yeah, the same thing goes to you, bud. Come on. All Might, fight harder, fight faster. Oh, God, I wish I had more bullets. As he's like, yeah, I'm about out. As he's shouting it, as All Might's, like, imbued with more courage. As everyone else sees Deku, like, distracting him, as All Might's gathering up his little embers as he starts getting, like, the buff thing again. It's like, thank you, young Midoriya. He's like, no problem, now punch this asshole in the face. As he does it, eventually, like, doing the whole, as All For One's max did break at one point, where it was cracked, but with another punch sending him sliding backwards, it completely broke. He's like, All Might, if you can keep him busy, I can put several bullets in his head if you want. He's like, no, Midoriya, we are not supposed to kill him, no matter how evil he is. He's like, oh, damn it. As he fires again, he's like, wait a second. As he starts running over, he's like, trying to get rid of some of the rubble. He's like, ma'am, get the hell up, ma'am. Trying to get you out of here. As he's like, move. As he like grabs her and drags her out, he's like, oh, you are kind of badly injured. But anyways, as he picks her up, he's like, see you, All Might. I'll get out of your hair. As eventually Snipe, Edge Shot, and Endeavor show up. He's like, see ya, Endeavor. Oh, he's like, hey, Endeavor. He's like, Midoriya, get out of here. It's like, with pleasure. As Snipes, like, hang on, my son can be of use. Edge Shot, get her out of here. As he's like, yeah, are you sure? He's like, I'm sure of it. As Snipes, like, you ready, Deku? He's like, yeah, I'm out of ammo. He's like, well, good thing I brought this along. As he pretty much brought Deku's guns along, he's like, how did you even carry this? He's like, I thought you might need it. As Deku's outfitted and starts helping them, as he's like, I got them busy over here. Sort of like distracting him. Until eventually All Might does his... Eventually, with All Might doing his United States of Smash. Deku, and they're like, oh, thank God. As Deku falls over, he's like, oh... This was harder than the USJ, and there were far more villains at that part than this right here. And I wasn't even using real bullets then. Now I am. As he just lays his head down. God, I wish we had better guns. He's like, his dad's like, well, unfortunately, all we gotta do is make up with armor piercing and hollow points. He's like, I guess you're right. Anyways, as he sits up, he's like, well, I'm going home. He's like, are we just gonna drive there? What? He's like, oh, yeah. Also, as he brings him in close, you're probably gonna be living at UA. He's like, what? What about you? He's like, I'm being brought on campus, so, He's like, Mom's gonna be pissed, isn't she? She's like, probably. As Deku and them, like, eventually go home. And that's where I'm going to be ending this one off at. I hope y'all have enjoyed it. Hope y'all continue to enjoy it. And I hope y'all have a nice day, nice night, nice life.